Good morning. We have a special guest for you today, Kyle Chasse, founder of MV Global. He's a well-known figure within the cryptocurrency arena. Kyle, welcome to Ron's Basement.
Thanks, Ron. And hello, everybody. Good to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you. You are kind of a famous person within the crypto industry. I know there's this great backstory that kind of got you to where you are today. Would you care sharing with us kind of what your story is and how you became this such a well-known person within the crypto industry?
Sure. I mean, it was just being involved very early on. I learned about Bitcoin like most other early people through initially finding out about Silk Road and Ross Ulbricht and these kind of things. And then in 2013, I started building the world's first Bitcoin lottery called World Super Lotto. And so I just wanted to build in the space. And so I built a lottery, and it was meant to, I'm from the States originally, so it was meant to resemble just like any other lottery. I told the devs I wanted it to feel like the California State Lottery, where people pick their numbers and they can win Bitcoin and they can bet with Bitcoin. And so I did that. And then that was a little bit too early, but I built it. That was the first thing that I built in crypto. And then I was part of another layer 1 blockchain that was being built at the same time as Ethereum. That didn't really work out. And then I had gone all into Bitcoin, and I was in regenerative medicine and anti-aging before. So I'd sold my company in 2013 and bought Bitcoin with it. So by the time that layer 1 project that I was working on didn't work out, the Bitcoin that I had before had appreciated quite a bit to where, I knew at that point I would be financially free and wouldn't have to work anymore. But so it was an interesting point in my life where I had to figure out, like, what do I do now? This thing that I've been doing, and I was a serial entrepreneur before. Like, a lot of startups that I tried didn't work out, before crypto, and some had little success, some, didn't have any success at all. And then, so I took some time to figure out in 2016 and 17 what I wanted to do. I was part of the crypto industry more passively, watching the ICO boom, participating in some of them. And then I started syndicating some deals and being part of it a little bit. And I realized that was the first time in 2017 when people were really here for the money. In 2016, I think a lot of people hadn't made a lot of money yet. Maybe some of the early Bitcoiners, but there was a lot more builders in before 2017. And I really wanted to see the idea of decentralized technology evolve and become adopted, because I really believe in it. I believe that there's a lot of problems with centralized governance. There's a lot of problems with centralized banking, a lot of problems with centralized, rulers. And so I think that, if we can build decentralized systems properly, and we can showcase those on a massive scale, then that the light bulb moment will happen for people. The same, like, it took AI 35 years before ChatGPT came out, and then people were like, aha, this is why AI is interesting. And I think that crypto and blockchain still hasn't had that killer use case on a massive level where 100 million people download an app in a couple of weeks or something like that, and that will happen, I think, and it will be decentralized, and I think people will understand the value of it. So since then, I've really felt a big calling in life to come back into the space, get really involved, and try to be involved in that process of the world discovering decentralized technology. So I've built MV Global, and there's a lot that we do under this umbrella.
Yeah. Can I ask you a quick question, Kyle?
Sure.
You're using this word decentralized several times, and I want to make sure I understand kind of from your perspective what that means, and see if you can critique my understanding of it. When I think of decentralized, and let's say I'm thinking of even a meme coin like Unicorn Fart Dust that I'm the developer for, what I'm thinking is that it allows the people to kind of control the destiny. Like, I joke around and say Unicorn Fart Dust is decentralized. Like, this is the headquarters right here in my basement, right? The reality is it's spread out. There isn't necessarily, it's on the blockchain. So it's a fair and level playing field. Is that an accurate somewhat accurate assessment of decentralized?
Well, I think that Unicorn Fart Dust, if you're going to look at a meme coin, probably is more decentralized than others because you created it as an experiment, which, you know, you've told me that you walked away, you kind of walked away, walk away from it. Like you didn't build the website, you don't run the social media, you know, and so you had community members that all come in. And so, you know, the big concern about centralized things is that, like, if Ron disappeared one day, would Unicorn Fart Dust still live on? And I think that there's been enough community members that have enough skin in the game today that it probably still would live on, right, without you. And so, yeah, I mean, you know,
I know what you're saying.
You know, it might take a big hit to the community. You know, might have a temporary sell off, but then I think you know, then it would come back and it would be in your honor or something like that. I don't know.
Right.
But decentralized on a broader scale means you know, that something can operate without one central operator, and that there's no central point of failure, and there's not one person that controls an entire ecosystem or entire rule set. So just like on Bitcoin or Ethereum, if you want to make a change of the protocol, then you need governance and a bunch of voters to vote these things into power, versus, like, you know, I guess yeah, I guess that's what I mean.
And if you look at, like, any crypto, I would think, and I'm not trying to make, I promise I'm not trying to make this about Unicorn Fart Dust, but it's all I know right now. The fact that all of our coins are distributed, are out there. It's not like I'm sitting here holding 30 or 40% of them and can control, like, everything's out there, everything's distributed, and it really is in the hands of the people per se. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, you have that's a pretty it's a distributed you know, ownership, or just a distributed ownership, of the protocol. Now there doesn't seem to be any clear governance structure in Unicorn Fart Dust set up yet. Maybe in the future there is something where, you know, maybe it evolves to where, you know, the community members build something in where there's like some sort of voting portal, and then they vote on, you know, the future direction of how it goes, if that's what the community wants to do. I don't know. You know, meme coins, they generally start with community building first, and then figure out what a use case may or may not be in the future. Whereas utility coins try to figure out the opposite. They try to build something useful and then figure out how to build community. So I think there's no right or wrong way to do something. It's just a different approach. Interesting. And you see that this decentralized, and I'm sorry I cut you off earlier, but it was a key thing that I wanted to gain a deeper understanding into, and I appreciate you for doing that for me. But you see that as being one of the key, as you were kind of moving through your journey, this decentralization being kind of one of the key factors that will drive crypto, and maybe, like you said, a mass adoption event at some point in the future as well. Yeah, I'll give you a really good example. The example I always give. So like Uber, for example, right? And so Uber is a very centralized company, and to get from my house to the airport, you know, might cost $100, and I pay $100 through the Uber app, and the driver maybe makes $70, and Uber takes $30. Yeah. Right. And so that's a centralized company. And then the founder of Uber and the shareholders or whoever is early investors, a few people make a profit from that. There are people, and I believe that one day someone will build a really good decentralized version of Uber. We'll call it, for this example, like Duber. And in this version, what would happen is someone would build a protocol on the blockchain where the app would feel very similar to Uber, and drivers could sign up independently, just like they can on Uber. They can just go and log into their driver portal. And in this case, for me, I could get out Duber, and maybe from my house to the airport only cost $90, and the driver makes $89. Yeah. And the $1 goes to all the people who are helping to maintain that split between all the people who maintain the software or keep the protocol up and running. And so the driver makes more money,
the passenger pays less money, and then it can give a whole bunch of people who are securing a protocol a passive income from helping to secure the network. And then you remove the centralized company from that. And then now every driver and every passenger in the world are going to they get the same service, but it's peer-to-peer, and so there's no value extraction from that protocol.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. That's exciting. And that's, I guess, as you look at crypto, and I've been in crypto for 8 weeks, Kyle, so I appreciate you dealing with my lack of knowledge, but that makes a great, I guess, use case for crypto and a great increase in efficiency. Is that, I mean, when you look,
it's all about efficiency and transparency. It's all about efficiency and transparency. So, the world has always been, we've always done business through middlemen. Middlemen, for me to make a transaction at the grocery store with a credit card, there's like 8 middlemen or something like that. You've got different payment processors, you've got the Visa, MasterCard, you've got the clearing networks, you've got the banks. And so, like, crypto allows you to remove all of those middlemen and just do a peer-to-peer transaction, me directly to the merchant, removing any of those fees. And maybe I pay a small, tiny fee to the network, but I mean, your cost savings is like 99%, and your efficiency goes up 99% as well. So, and you know exactly what you pay for that transaction. There's no opaqueness on these things, and so, and I think Elon Musk or something just proposed putting the government spending on blockchain, right? And so now you have another use case where you have transparency. Doge is, the Department of Government Efficiency is exposing all kinds of, corruption and people taking money for crazy things that U.S. taxpayers are paying for. And this kind of thing has been allowed to happen previously because nothing's been transparent, nothing's been on chain. And everyone just kind of says, "Trust me, bro," and then we do. Yeah. So yeah.
That is super exciting. This is a great conversation for me from a selfish perspective, because I like what you pointed out, that this opportunity for more efficiency, because I love efficiency, right? I'm a guy who's in his basement. I'm the cameraman. I'm not making this about me, but I love efficiency. But I also love transparency. And when I heard you say those two, like, the acronym ET, it's like that really is is in my mind is the little bit that I know about the blockchain at this point. That is the big opportunity. And you talked about like cutting out the middleman, right? Like when I go to the grocery store and pay with my credit card, I don't realize that I'm actually paying MasterCard or Visa, whatever it is, 1.5%, 2%, 3%. And that this blockchain, and I guess that's from the decentralization perspective as well, like allows all the people in the world potentially to kind of participate in this great benefit of efficiency, but also transparency as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Peer-to-peer is really the way to look at it, right? It's just, to you directly, skipping all of the middlemen, and that's efficiency. That's the most efficient. To get the shortest way between 2 points is a straight line. A to B, and
yeah, it's like, I mean, maybe this is a horrible analogy, but here in the States, if I want to get rid of a used car that I have, I can bring it to a dealership and trade it in or sell it to them for a very low price. Or, I can try to sell it myself peer to peer and get a much higher price, right?
Yeah.
Somewhat the same.
Or you can look at, or one thing that I've thought about in the past too is like the selling of a house. Think about all the intermediaries and the lack of efficiency. So when you sell a house, you have things like title insurance, escrow insurance. You have things like banks, lenders, mortgages. The title insurance is something that you pay 1% of the entire sell. So if I'm selling a house for $1 million, that means I pay $10,000 just for title insurance. And all that does is making sure that the person selling me the house owns the house, and that it's free and clear. But if we put the title and ownership of houses on blockchain, then you wouldn't need to have title insurance anymore, because we would know without any doubt the ownership of the ownership of the house. So, and we wouldn't need the brokers, we wouldn't need all of these kinds of things that we need today. So now you hear Larry Fink and others, the largest asset manager in the world, talk about the tokenization of everything, and this is a different world. It's not decentralized, but it is still making the legacy financial world more efficient. It's not something that I'm super excited about because I don't think that this is helping the smaller people, right? It's not really something that's going to help. It helps make the legacy financial system more efficient. And that legacy financial system is really designed to keep the 1% more wealthy, to make the 1% more wealthy. And that's why the things that I've been building in this space are focused on the 99%. It's people who have been traditionally excluded from Wall Street. I built 2 protocols that have to do with retail. One of them is for really early stage investing. It's called Common Wealth, like 2 words, Common Wealth. And that one allows people to come invest really early into new companies that traditionally only the 1% were allowed to invest in.
Accredited investors.
Accredited investors, right? And that is interesting because it's never been done before. And so, maybe the next future, like if you go to Commonwealth, maybe you'll be able to invest in the next Solana or the next Ethereum or the next Bitcoin or whatever. And then we have one called Paid Network, which was launched in 2021, which is one of the biggest, it's almost like an IPO platform. So it's for these companies right before, it's a little bit later stage than early investing. It's the very last round where people get to participate and invest before a utility token project goes public and starts trading on the open market. And so we really built 2 things because I wanted to focus on how do we, I'm not really interested in building technology for the traditional finance world. I want to build technology for those who, because I think that now people are waking up to the fact that a 9-to-5 job maybe isn't so interesting. Maybe if you look at investing early, maybe you can, not have to do that 9-to-5 job. Maybe you can be a digital nomad. Maybe you can retire in 10 years or 15 years and not 45 years anymore and retire really wealthy, for example. So, so we built some tools for the massive mainstream, and it doesn't matter where in the world you live. It's decentralized and it's borderless.
Yeah. I loved what you said about your projects are focused on the 99%. And when I think about the future, not to get too far out there, but this is a fascinating conversation for me. I think about all these efficiencies that can be created. And when you cut out, just as a simple example, the guy that works all day long doing title insurance on houses, and you cut out a lot of these middlemen, I think a lot of these people could then spend their time doing more humanitarian type things, right? We hear about, shortage of teachers and all these things. And, people have to like this efficiency that these projects like you're talking about, the efficiencies that are being driven by that could actually lead to a much better world for all the people.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's going to be a really interesting future because now when we live in a world of AI and AI agents that are going to be doing a lot of these types of jobs for humans and removing a lot of the need for this kind of mundane work.
Yeah.
And I watched a really fascinating talk one time. I think it was called like the 4th Industrial Revolution, where it was the age of abundance, essentially coming to an age of abundance where we had like self-replicating nano robots that were able to, like through AI and self-building machines that were able to do work, manufacture and produce everything that we need in the world to live and thrive, from everything from energy to food to storage, and solve these problems at a negative cost, because essentially they were able to do, so cheap to manufacture and create themselves, that the need for human labor would be obsolete, and the world would have to go through this sort of new identity crisis where we have to figure out as humans, like, how do we identify ourselves? Because when we go to a new event and hi Rod, nice to meet you, one of the first questions that we would ask each other is, well, what do you do, Ron? What do you do, Kyle? And it's like, well, I make, I made a meme coin called, I talk about gold and silver, and I run a meme coin called, me, Kyle, I run, MV Global, and I'm in crypto. We identify usually with what do we do to make money or as a professional career.
Yeah. And I want to throw something in, because I have young children, and then they get this question. Young children get this question all the time. What do you want to be when you grow up? And I tell my kids, like, it's not what that's not you. That's not what you're going to be. That will be your job. You're something other than than what you are, a teacher or a doc, whatever you may do. That's what you do, right? It's not I think it starts at an early age, at least here in the United States. Like, what are you going to be when you grow up, right? And so go ahead. I'm sorry I interrupted you. I had to
no, it's a good point, and I think that anyone who is, certainly anyone who's born today is probably going to live a wildly different type of upbringing. That the education system will be wildly different. Schools may or may not even exist, probably certainly not in the current existing form. I mean, maybe for still, civilizations or that are still evolving and going through their industrial revolution, like industrial age. But when it comes down to more evolved, privileged types of societies like ours, we'll have access to AI tutors and AI assistants. For me, I don't know that it was very valuable to learn a lot about a lot of the things that I did in elementary school and junior high, like, especially because you come to find out that a lot of things that they taught you didn't end up being true, because they just thought at the time it was what it was because of limited knowledge that we had. Like, they try to tell me how the pyramids of Egypt were built, when in good likelihood that they weren't built in that fashion, right? And like, and then it's very biased toward whatever organization is teaching you. And so I've learned far more about the world and politics and ideology and theology after school in real life through doing what I'd like to do. And so I think that, the way that I think on that note, for kids, what do you want to be when you grow up is like what I always tell people is the way I'd like to raise my children is try to figure out what it is that they're passionate about and encourage a lot, like encourage the freedom to don't be afraid to try something. If you don't like it, try something else. You don't like it, try something else. There was a period of time when everyone in my life that was close to me was really worried because it would seem like I would get a really good job or like just start a business. And then with less than a year, I'd quit and do something else. But it wasn't because I saw a better opportunity. Something else caught my attention. And I didn't find something that really called me yet until I did.
Yeah.
And then that's where I made my career. And so, I think that this is just something that I figured out along the way.
Yeah, it's fascinating. As you were talking, I thought what I want to teach my children is what they want to be when they grow up. And I think maybe this is what you were saying as well, is like a lifelong learner, a lifelong explorer. I'd hate to say, well, I want you to learn how to do this one specific thing and sit in a cube and do it for the rest of your life, right? I mean, that's great if that's what somebody wants to do, but I think there's much more. And I think as you pointed out, this fascinating conversation, like the world and technology is evolving in such a way that people are going to need to be lifelong learners. And there's so much out there. I mean, even for me, when I, 3 years ago started a YouTube channel and decided to focus on building a YouTube channel, doing one video a day. The one video a day was important, but what was even more important was my commitment to learn something about building a YouTube channel, one thing a day. And there's so much out there. There's so much information. And if you're able to parse through and find quality, you can learn, you can really like do a self-education for free.
When I have this conversation with folks that I meet, I say that like, I believe that there's two really important things that are crucial for education that I think about as a foundation for a child to grow up. One is to learn how to learn, because if you can learn how to learn, then that's it. And then the other thing is how to monetize your passion, because if you love what you do and you can monetize what you do, then you'll never feel like you work a day in your life. And that, to me, is the best kind of life to live.
Yeah, that's awesome. So if I can keep you for 8 more minutes, I want to hear about your company, MV Global, and then I want to go to your YouTube channel, show people your channel very quickly, but I want to get your input on this video you made about the rise of Pepe as well. So what about MV Global? What's going on there? What are you excited about?
So MV Global is kind of the parent company of everything that we do. So, me, myself, I'm the founder, chairman of MV Global. We run a VC fund,
Okay.
And we're starting to raise for Fund 2. Fund 1 was raised about 4 years ago. It was quite successful. Fund 2, we're starting to raise for. And then we also have many different utility coins or projects that we build underneath that. Commonwealth was one of them. Paid Network is another one. And there's some other ones that are in the works. And then my YouTube channel and my X are other things that we focus on as well. So I have a YouTube channel where I educate people on crypto and altcoins and the market. And then we do advising projects as well. And then I invest in different companies. I've been investing for a very long time in some of the earliest projects in crypto. And so that's MV Global. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm going to bring everybody out to your YouTube channel and see if I can get this right. Here we go. Here's Kyle's YouTube channel. And I'd highly recommend everybody check it out. I've watched several of your videos and they are very professional. But I wanted to ask you about this one in particular, the rise of Pepe. Can you share with us what you learned or what you shared in that video, Kyle?
Yeah, this is a different type of video. So normally Monday through Friday, my content is the macro crypto market. So I talk about global adoption and I talk about certain altcoins and things like that.
Yeah.
I guess 5-6 months ago, it was pretty slow. There wasn't a lot happening, and I wanted to try to see if I could appeal to a wider audience. And so I wanted to make a video that was more for entertainment purposes. And so we spent a lot of time making a mini documentary. It's like 22, 23 minutes long. And of course, Pepe is the biggest meme in the world. And most people don't understand how Pepe came to be, how Pepe was loved and then hated and seen as an alt-right Nazi symbol when President Trump ran for election in his first presidency, and then became loved again. How Matt Fury, the creator of Pepe, created the Boys Club, and that's where Andy and Brett and came from as well. And so this whole little fun story is literally just a fun story about the beginning of the Boys Club, Matt Fury, and how these characters led to their place in the crypto industry and became meme coins. And the earliest Pepe meme coin starting in 2016, and then the copycat one that came in 2000, later. And so it's full of twists and turns and drama, and it's a lot of fun. It was fun to make.
Yeah. Interesting. So if I'm thinking of it from a unicorn fart dust perspective, any lessons you learned, any advice you would give? I mean, I'm officially the developer behind Unicorn Fart Dust, and any words of advice or anything you learned in the process that you might share with us?
I think that one of the people in the comments asked, if there was any suggestions on how to turn Unicorn Fart Dust into a utility token. And I think that that's something that, I think I don't know if you guys already have a really good place, whether maybe it's Telegram or maybe it's Discord, where the dusters kind of gather and discuss things. But I think that's a decision that you as a community need to make in the future, to say, because the competition amongst meme coins and attention there is fierce.
Yeah.
And which ones are going to live to be multi-cycle, and is that an ambition of the community to be multi-cycle, right? Multi-cycle, multi-generational, something that lives on forever, or is it something that the community is part of until they feel like the markets are turning bearish, and then everyone dumps, and then the project dies? And I don't know what's going to be involved or be required to be multi-cycle, but I think that maybe some utility in there might help that.
Sure.
But but it's really difficult to so I think that it might require, it shouldn't be forced, right? Like I think a lot of people force something for it to feel really cool, but maybe if you guys get a big enough presence and maybe there's some natural partnerships that evolve later, maybe it becomes something that's organic and makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's I mean, that's what's gone on with UFD from the very beginning is an organic community. I mean, purely organic, right? I invested $100 into this, that it's like built it to where it is today. I like that idea that the cream rises to the top, and it feels like, we go through our, and it's only been, today's 8 weeks, 8 weeks ago today, Kyle, I bought my very first crypto. But what I've noticed, because things happen so quickly and in such a hyper focused way, within, at least within UFD and within the meme coin sector, is that I've seen this. It's hard to put into words, but it just feels like the community keeps kind of rising up, and the cream rises to the top, and like the good ideas rise to the top, and that the community continues to be robust. And I believe that I think the best ideas come from organically from the community, and they get supported, and they grow, and they get bigger and bigger. So thank you for sharing that with us. Is there anything that I forgot to ask you? Anything that you want to say to the audience before we sign off here?
No, I would just encourage. Thanks for mentioning the YouTube video. I think that I think that it would be, if people are curious about just educating themselves more broadly on the whole macro environment of what's happening with crypto, and to learn more about altcoins. I do talk a lot about meme coins and things like that, because I talk about, I teach my audience how to make money. And that is whatever the narrative is of the week, of the month, of the moment. And then there's a good way too that they might find new ideas there that they can bring back to the Duster community as well, and then help the Duster community evolve. Because sometimes they'll have a really good idea that someone hasn't done yet. I'll just share it on my YouTube channel and say, hey, here's an idea that I think is worth building that I don't have time to do. So I hope that someone does go build this,
Yeah. So I want to say to everybody out there in the Duster community, go to Kyle's channel. Here, I'll pull it up one more time and subscribe, because he's giving away free ideas. Those are the most valuable. One more question, Kyle, then I promise we'll end this. I've been in the crypto world for 8 weeks, and it feels like to me, somebody in our community mentioned this word to me over the weekend, that there's kind of mayhem going on right now within the meme coin sector. Has it always been that way? Or do you see that what's kind of gone on recently in meme coins, like a little crazier than normal? What's your read on the general meme coin sector right now? And I guess Pump.Fun has a lot to do with what's going on.
I think that, I'm not sure what people mean by the craziness that's going on in the meme coin world. There always has been. And there's a lot of philosophy about what it takes to make a great meme coin community, and what it takes to get into a $1 billion valuation and stay there and capture the attention of institutions and become something that's widely adopted. And then you have guys like that, like Murad, for example, who will go, I don't know if you know Murad, right? But he goes and makes his video that gets millions of views, and he has a thesis, right? And a lot of people take the thesis as gospel, as fact. Mm-hmm. But it's simply a thesis that hasn't played out yet, And so it's a bold move of his to come out with his thesis. It brought a lot of attention to the coins that he was promoting, but it doesn't make him right. It doesn't make him wrong either, right? He just, he doesn't. The meme coin super cycle, if you will, is still relatively new. In 2021 bull run, we only had a couple handfuls of them, and I think only, a couple got over $1 billion valuation. So this cycle will have probably several more, quite a bit more, I imagine. But I think it's still a game that's evolving. And I think that you're going to have all kinds of ones that some have utilities, some don't. And I don't know. I think that you need to keep doing what you're doing, Ron. And if you feel like what you're doing is not working, just start evolving and trying new things and seeing
Yeah.
what appeals, you know?
Yeah. Kyle, thank you. I know you're a very busy person. I learned, and I think that our audience, we have almost 3,000 people live on, it's 7:00 in the morning here in the States, at least in the central time zone. What a great way to start the week. I mean, nothing excites me more than learning. And I will tell you, I will never forget E.T. in my mind, right? When I was a kid, there was a movie called E.T. Efficiency and transparency, and you kind of turned on some light bulbs for me about decentralization. So from me, I say thank you, and for your time and for sharing your wisdom. There's you and I speaking here, but there's that all important viewer, and there's 3,000 of them right now who've joined us. So on their behalf, I'll say thank you as well. I want to remind everybody, go out to Kyle's YouTube channel and subscribe. He's giving away free ideas from time to time, and I'm hoping that at some point in the future we can get you back on here again, because I've got a lot of respect for you, and even more now from the wisdom that you've shared with us. So thank you.
Yeah, I would love to. Thanks, Ron. Thanks everybody in the chats. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah,
see you guys.
Thanks.